Week 7 Dolphins fans, how are we doing today? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network. Week 7, which means, only one more game. Only one more game, hopefully, without starting quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Eligible to return week 8 against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we talked about it once Tua was placed on IR and said, you know what, there's those 4 games he's going to miss. 3-1, that's probably the dream scenario. But, if we can stay afloat, if we can go 2-2, we will be all right once Tua is eligible to return. And that's what we've got a chance to accomplish here on Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts. So we're going to jump into the first preview of 2 that we're going to have this week for that week 7 matchup. Before we jump in, I want to hear from you in the comment section. Any questions, any thoughts that you have got pertaining to Dolphins Colts week 7 matchup, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And actually this week, I'm likely going to respond to you right there in those comments, because our next video is going to be the prediction and preview video, but I'm doing it with one of the enemies. We're going to go behind enemy lines with Zach Hicks of the Locked On Colts podcast. So definitely get subscribed if you haven't done so already. I've collaborated with Zach on a few things in another life. He does a great job. He does a great job covering the Colts. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So if you haven't gotten subscribed yet, make sure you are doing so that you don't miss that video once it comes out. I'm changing it up this week. I'm recording this video on Tuesday night because of having to record with Zach yet this week. So I don't have a formal injury report. We usually kick off with the injury report, but I do want to touch on a couple of things to keep an eye on in regards to injury in this game. So we all know the last time we played, Achane takes that hit to the head against the Patriots, out for the game in concussion protocol. I was originally told that the team is going to play it extra cautious with Achane with that concussion, especially with Raheem Mostert being back and looking as good as he did against the New England Patriots. However, like I said, I'm recording this Tuesday night. Tuesday afternoon, I was told Achane is actually progressing very nicely in the concussion protocol right now. It is getting closer and closer to an actual coin flip in regards to his availability on Sunday. Now, like I said, it's a coin flip. It's no guarantee whatsoever, a coin flip. However, if I had to take on this, I would like to see them play it safe with Achane. Get that extra week of rest. Hold them out this week. One, like we just said, Raheem Mostert is back. I think the combination, him, Jalen Wright, Jeff Wilson, I think they can handle the workload this week. I think they can get it done this week without Achane. And 2, selfishly, the guy that I'm playing in fantasy football this week has Achane. So let's rest. Let's get super healthy. How about that one, Achane? The other thing that I think we need to keep an eye on is the status of both Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer. Now, Jevon Holland, he's got the broken hand from that game against the Patriots. And then we saw Jordan Poyer actually miss the game against the Patriots because of the shin injury that he got against the Titans. The remaining safeties on our active roster include Marcus May and Elijah Campbell. Then we actually have both Nick Needham and Jordan Colbert on the practice squad. So while I actually don't mind Marcus May, and I like what Elijah Campbell has done so far as well, I don't think it's a terrible drop-off compared to the starters. Jordan Poyer has been, I'll say, probably one of the more disappointing free agent signings. And Jevon Holland, he is the reason we won week 1. But outside of that, the impact plays, the plays that we really wanted to see him making here, especially as he's going to be bargaining and negotiating for a contract extension, they haven't necessarily been there. So I like those guys, but obviously after Marcus May, Elijah Campbell, we're starting to get real thin. We're obviously turning to practice squad players at that point in time. So that's definitely something we're going to want to keep an eye on as well. But I probably buried the lead, because getting into this game here a little bit with the preview, the story of this game, of this week, is the Colts appearing to hand the keys of the offense back to Anthony Richardson now that he is deemed to be fully healthy, which means Joe Flacco, who's caught a little bit of fire here recently with the Colts, moving back to that spot on the bench. Now, quite honestly, I know the Dolphins defense historically recently have had our issues with mobile quarterbacks, right? I'll say this, though. I am more scared right now of Joe Flacco than I am of Anthony Richardson. So quite honestly, this news that the Colts likely handing it back over to Anthony Richardson right now, I'm okay with it. And you can see on the scroll that statistically, there is no question that Joe Flacco is the better option right now. Much higher completion percentage, 75 more passing yards per game, significantly better touchdown to interception ratio. Now, I'll concede that Joe Flacco provides you next to nothing in regards to mobility, making the big off the script plays. I get that, but I have witnessed a few Indianapolis Colts games this year. I have seen Anthony Richardson quite literally handicap this offense with the inability to throw accurately, to be able to even complete these easy passes, some of the decision making that he has. Now, I get from the Colts perspective why you would go back to Anthony Richardson. They took him number 4 overall in the 2023 NFL draft. So that was not too long ago, obviously. You're going to want to let him see him play. You're going to want to see if he is the guy for the future compared to the 39-year-old Joe Flacco. But I would say that there's a real argument that Joe Flacco gives the Colts a better chance to win now than Anthony Richardson does. And I want to talk more about that with Zach as well in the next video. So like I said, get subscribed if you haven't done so. Keep an eye out for that one. The other primary storyline regarding the Colts offensively is that health of running back Jonathan Taylor. Now, he is obviously one of the best, I would say, running backs in the league when he is healthy. I know he's had some issues recently. He did miss the Colts' last 2 games with that ankle injury. I'm not going to dive into as much on this one because, once again, we haven't even seen an initial injury report yet for this week. But in my opinion, Taylor is what makes this Colts offense go. Behind him, it's Trey Sermon, Tyler Goodson. There's not a defensive coordinator in the NFL that's losing sleep over those 2 guys. So that is definitely a top thing to keep an eye on, at least injury-wise, for the Colts offense this week. Once again, another thing we'll chat more about with Zach. Let's talk a little bit about the Colts defensively, because the Colts defensively play right into what I'm going to call the Dolphins' not so secret sauce when it comes to what they're going to do on offense, which is obviously run the ball. And then they're going to run the ball, and then they're going to run the ball, and then they're going to run the ball some more. At least we hope, right? Second to last in the NFL. They're allowing 155 rushing yards per game. If this game plan doesn't feature whatever running backs we have healthy, if it's Achane, Mostert, Wilson, Wright, whoever, if it doesn't feature those guys, I'm going to kidnap Mike McDaniel and I'm going to take the play sheet right out of his hands. I might have to go that far. 2 weeks ago, our win against the Colts, the team goes 41 carries, 193 yards. That's 4.7 yards per carry. And we had the 1 lone touchdown on the ground as well, the Alec Ingold goal line touchdown. Jalen Wright gets double-digit carries, 13 for 86. Mostert flirts with 20 carries. He has 19 for 80. That lone touchdown drive, 15-play, 80-yard drive that takes 7.5 minutes off the clock. That drive featured 12 runs. 7 of them were at the very end. 7 straight runs to cap off that drive with the touchdown. Now, obviously, we aren't going to be able to run the ball 7 straight times on every single drive, expect that type of success. That's not realistic. But let's at least try to stay committed to the ground game. Put that 31st ranked rushing defense to the test. That's all I ask for, Mike McDaniel. Another interesting thing to point out about the Colts defensively is the fact that they are simply just giving up yards galore. 30th in total defense, 31st in rushing defense, 26th in passing defense, but yet despite giving up all those yards, they're right in the middle of the pack in regards to points allowed per game. So I think another big key to this game is the idea, finish these drives with points, preferably touchdowns, but finish these drives with points. Don't fall victim to this bend but don't break defense that the Colts sort of appear to be through the first, quarter plus of the season. Now, I will say that if there was a team that Indy could maybe handpick to play this week where they could get by with having a defense that's at least statistically a nightmare, it would probably be a Dolphins team without Tua Tagovailoa. But we've talked about this before when Tua has been out. There are numerous guys on this team that are getting paid a lot of money to go out there and make plays. So let's go out there and do it. Tyler Huntley, please. He's not the one making the money, but throw it to the guy that is. Tyreek Hill has been getting open. Please let him make a splash play in this game. We missed him how many times? 2, 3 in that game against the Titans. let him make a splash play in this game. Jalen Waddle, please make those catches over the middle of the field. Please stop jumping for balls when you don't need to. Please use your hands for catches instead of your body. For how much we want to run the ball and run the ball a lot this week, we cannot ignore those two guys. Hell, maybe even we see an uptick in Odell Beckham Jr. snaps as well. We have got to find a way to get these wide receivers involved, help open up those run games. All it's going to do is make for more success when we do what we want them to do, which is run the ball. All right, Dolphins fans, I am going to cut it for there today. Like I said, I've got a lot that we're going to pack into that video. That next one coming up here with Zach Hicks of the Locked On Colts podcast. So like I said, get your questions submitted. I'll try to answer all of them in the actual comments. I might even be able to add a couple to the video as well. So go ahead and get those entered in. But like I said, get subscribed if you haven't done so already. That's going to be a great video with Zach. Don't want you to miss that one. We will be back, though, Dolphins fans. Week 7, here we go. And until then, Dolphins fans, fins up.